Hello everybody, my name is SniperSfun and welcome back to my next video and present to all of you here on YouTube. And this is going to be my official 5th The 5 list. We've talked about numerous topics so far, of 3 different lists talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 worlds, a list talking about new wrestling legends for the WWE2K series. To stick with the ball on video games, I'm going to be transferring myself now over from the likes of Square Enix and Kingdom Hearts 3, which I've been doing my last 3 lists, over to the realm of Nintendo with their newest home console handheld hybrid, the Nintendo Switch. The system that came out and released earlier this year back in March of 2017 has been taking the gaming world pretty much by storm. It's selling out everywhere and everyone wants this thing, and it's pretty much kind of becoming the next Nintendo Wii basically. And it's getting lots of games, and I'm hoping that continues going forward because I want Nintendo to be back to their dominance, back from like the Super Nintendo and the NES and like the Game Boy Advance and the DS and the 3DS, and just kicking butt like their handhelds and former home consoles of third-party games and Nintendo games. So it's looking good going this year in 2017 and going into 2018. Let's just hope that it, continues. But this list in particular is going to be for both Nintendo fans or gamers in general that already have the Nintendo Switch, as well as gamers out there or Nintendo fans that don't have the Nintendo Switch yet, like myself actually, because quite frankly I'm in that camp of I've yet to get the system. I want it so badly, and one day I eventually will find it and be able to buy it and play lots of games on it. But this list is going to be the 5 Nintendo Switch games that are out right now that you should check out. Now, before I get this started, a lot of people are going to assume I'm going to be naming a bunch of freaking Nintendo games and the big top-notch games that have come out since the system came out. And I'm going to quickly say, no, I am not going to put no Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Splatoon 2 or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or freaking ARMS or any of the big top-notch games that have come out so far yet, because pretty much if you have a Nintendo Switch, you already have at least all of them, both of those. And if you don't have a Nintendo Switch yet, when you get one, more likely you're going to be buying all of them, most of those. Naming those is kind of pointless because they're all already the top-notch games that everyone's going to want to get, everyone already has, blah, blah, blah. These are 5 other games that I feel, both Nintendo and third-party wise, that if you don't have a Nintendo Switch yet and want to buy one, games you can look forward to outside of just ARMS and Splatoon, and if you have the system and you don't have these games yet, they are worth checking out. They are all the smaller, like third-party, second-party, whatever games, like games that are not the Zeldas and the Splatoons and the Mario Karts. So here we go. The 5 Nintendo Switch games out now, not including the big top-notch Nintendo games, that if you own the system, you should check out. The first one I'm going to talk about is going to be Fast RMX. For those of you out there, like myself, that love the F-Zero series or love really big, fast racing freaking video games, like super fast, hyper speed, futuristic racing games, the Fast RMX game, and the series in general, since it's been around since the Wii, is probably the best bet for us to have until Nintendo hopefully decides to freaking bring back F-Zero. And it's sad that they have yet to even do that for 10 plus years now. 14 years pretty much. Or so, like in that ballpark. We haven't had a game since the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance. Nintendo, we need a new F-Zero. But for those of you out there that want your F-Zero, kick, your F-Zero, little dessert, until we finally ever get the main course of an F-Zero game, Fast RMX is for you. It's from Shinen, and I can't remember pronounce their name. Super futuristic racing. It's a downloadable game on the Switch. They had a version of it on the Wii U, and there was a version of it, I think the first game, on the Wii. It has been around for a while, and it's basically kind of very F-Zero based. It's not exactly like F-Zero, but it has that futuristic, fast-paced racing game action, and this game can get really hard. Maybe not as hard as F-Zero, but if you want your F-Zero appetizer until we get the main course one day, this is it. And it's also a really good freaking racing game from what I've heard, and when I do get the system, I do want to check it out because I love F-Zero so much. So Fast RMX, it's a downloadable game on the Switch. Check it out. If you love your fast, futuristic racing, high-speed, action, death-defying racing games, that game is for you. Number 2 is going to go to Puyo Puyo Tetris. For those of you out there that love your puzzle games, and I know a lot of people love Tetris, it's one of the most popular freaking puzzle games in the whole freaking world, you got that. But you don't just have Tetris, you have Puyo Puyo. And for those of you who don't know what Puyo Puyo is, you guys, especially the older people out there, I'm sure the young kids nowadays probably wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but you know Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine from the Sega Genesis? That's essentially Puyo Puyo. And this game has the ability, gives you the ability to play either Puyo Puyo or Tetris, or Puyo Puyo Tetris mix with all these cutesy anime characters. And it's a freaking puzzle game. And for those of you out there that love playing puzzle games, this is probably as of now, the top-notch freaking puzzle game that the Switch has now, until we eventually probably get like a full-fledged, Tetris or a Dr. Mario or something. This is the definitive, right now, I believe, puzzle game on the Nintendo Switch. And if you love the puzzle game genre, you will love this game. And you have two different unique styles, as well as a mix of it together. Online play, cutesy art styles, fun, addictive puzzle gameplay. It's all there for you if you love your puzzle games. So there's that. Give me a second here. This battery is going low. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's 2. 3 is going to go to Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's a cash grab, it's a money grab. All it is a freaking old Super Nintendo, arcade, Genesis, whatever, updated HD game that came out on the Xbox like 360 and the PS3 years ago. And yes, that may be true, but Street Fighter 2 is still one of the most definitive fighting games in the world. And it's pretty much right now, until we start getting some more fighting games on the Nintendo Switch, like, Smash Brothers, or maybe we'll eventually get to see an updated Street Fighter, or a Tekken, or a Soul Calibur, and BlazBlue, I believe, is coming, and other various fighting games from indie developers and big top-notch third parties and whatnot eventually come, hopefully. This is pretty much right now the definitive fighting game on the Nintendo Switch, pretty much, and it is an updated HD version, so it's basically the old 360 PS3 version. It has new characters like Violent Ken and Evil Ryu, and Akuma's in there, and it's the same old addictive freaking gameplay that Street Fighter has known since the second game came out back in the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, back in the arcades, back in the early 90s. It is one of the best fighting games out there, and for those of you who have never experienced it back in the day, there you go. I mean, I experienced it back on the Super Nintendo. I grew up with Street Fighter 2. It's one of my favorite fighting games of all time, which is maybe a cliche to say because it's freaking so good. It's been around so long. A lot of people say that, but still, it's one of the best fighting games out there, and it's good that the Switch has it. So, for those of you that want to get and jump into the Street Fighter series that may not have tried it before, there you go. And if you've never played an old school Street Fighter, this is the one to play outside of Third Strike. And it is just a top-notch fighting game, and like if you have played it before, well, you get the most updated version. I think it has online play. It has the whole Hadouken thing, which a lot of people don't really like all that much, but you got the freaking main gameplay anyways. You can play in the old, pixelated, the old art style, like the bit art, and you can update people's colors. You can edit people's colors all you want. You can change them all like this, like basically what a lot of the King of Fighters games lately have basically done. You can basically make the colors of the characters any which way you want. It's a freaking good fighting game. It's a good multiplayer game for those of you out there that want a good multiplayer game to play with your friends and your family on the Nintendo Switch. There you go. Right there. Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers. It has every fighter so far alongside now Violent, Ken, Evil Ryu, and Akuma. And it's just probably the best version as of now of Street Fighter 2 you can get. Till we get more fighting games on the Switch, this is the definitive one. Just like Puyo Puyo Tetris, it says the definitive as of now puzzle game. If you love fighting games, you need this right now. It'll tie you over until Smash and Tekken and BlazBlue and all that come. Now, my final two on this list are going to go to RPGs on the system. And the first one I'm going to talk about is I Am Setsuna, which is basically I think it's like an indie downloadable RPG game that's published by Square Enix. It's basically in the style of old school, Final Fantasy RPGs back from the Super Nintendo and whatnot. It's like very old school classic JRPG style, saving the world, mechanical stuff, magic, future, stuff like that. If you played stuff like Bravely Default, if you played a lot of Bravely Default, some Tales games, if you played some of the newer Final Fantasies or mid-range Final Fantasy, if you played any RPG out there, JRPG that has to deal with medieval times or mechanical stuff or magic or whatever, you basically know what this is all about. If you love stuff like Chrono Trigger, if you love stuff like Chrono Cross, if you love the old Final Fantasies, if you love Earthbound, if you love freaking the old Xenogears games, if you love Suikoden, if you love all these old things, not necessarily the same genre, because Suikoden is obviously a tactical RPG, but if you love a lot of old RPGs that dealt with a lot more medieval fantasy settings or had some mechanical stuff, futuristic stuff, time traveling, magic, or all that stuff, and you just love JRPGs, freaking I Am Setsuna is the one, and it's basically probably one of the top RPGs now until we finally start getting some more down the line. And it's just like I said with freaking Ultra Street Fighter 2, and just like I said with Puyo Puyo Tetris, it's probably one of the more definitive RPGs now until we hopefully start getting maybe some Final Fantasies and the Tales game that's coming out. Maybe Kingdom Hearts 3, Square, you're going to get that on the Switch, please, please, please. And other RPGs that are going to come out. This is probably one of the top-notch RPGs now, and it's a simple downloadable game you could buy on the Switch's online store. That is 4. The 5th one is going to go to Disgaea 5 Complete. It is a tactical RPG series, and it's been around since the PlayStation 2 days, and this is the first Disgaea game since the original on the DS that has been on a Nintendo system. It's basically the 5th version of the game that was on like the PS4, I think like a year or so ago. It's the complete version. They add stuff to it. It's more, there's more content to go and do it. It's a more definitive version than the old PS4 version and whatnot. It has more content, more stuff to do, and it's a crazy tactical RPG series that just has these wacky characters fighting each other. If you played something like Final Fantasy Tactics, you might like this. If you played the Fire Emblem series, you might like this. If you played any other tactical RPG type series out there, you might like this. Like, it's not the same thing. Like, Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy, like, Tactics are not the exact same thing as the Disgaea series. There is a difference there, but if you like the concept of playing RPG-type games with tactical, enhancements, tactical strategies, a tactical edge to it where you move your units around the field and fight your opponents and whatnot, this is basically almost in the same ballpark. And if you love something like a Fire Emblem or you love something like a Final Fantasy Tactics or any other tactical strategy, or tactical RPG, strategy RPG out there, it's pretty much almost in the same ballpark, and it probably only take you a slight while to get used to it. The game series is crazy, wacky anime action. If you love your anime, if you love your crazy, wacky, cool, wacky worlds and characters and storylines from anime and from various JRPGs and whatnot, you'll probably like this. It might turn off some people, but maybe it's like you love the genre so much you will put past what you don't really like about, the anime art style or the craziness or the wackiness to play what is essentially a really epic tactical RPG series, and you get to find all these characters that you love and build up your army. You get to build units, name your units, train your units, and just go for some crazy tactical RPG action. And that's my list for the 5 Nintendo Switch games out now, outside the main ones, like I said, that if you own the system or don't own the system but plan on buying the system, I would recommend you looking into and possibly buying Disgaea 5 Complete, Fast RMX, Puyo Puyo Tetris, I Am Setsuna, and Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers. You got a fighting game in there, you got a puzzle game in there, you got a racing game in there, and you got 2 RPGs. So there is diversity in my list. If you love any of those genres, I recommend you check those ones out. My name is Sniper Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day. And put in the comment section what you guys think. Do you guys agree with these 5 games? Do you guys own any of these 5 games? Do you guys love any of these 5 games? And what other games on the Switch I would recommend, outside of obviously the, your Splatoons and your ARMS and your Mario Karts and your Zeldas, what other games out there would you recommend people playing in the comment section? So when they come across this video and you put in the comment section what you put in the comment section, they'll be like, oh, I could check those games out. Maybe I'll check it out and see if they interest me. See you all down there and let's discuss it. And my name is Sniper. Like I said, peace, please subscribe to have a lovely day and see you all later.